And this is a line people tell you all the time. Quote, I want to be better with money, but I don't know where to start. That's so frustrating because, there's YouTube filled with stuff. There's tons of podcasts. There's, you go to Barnes and Noble, there's books all over the place. And yet the average person, Gigi, you meet, they're like, where do you think our disconnect is?
Yeah, I was that person for a long time, because I'm the daughter of Mexican immigrants. So money wasn't discussed at home at all because there wasn't enough money. So the only conversation we heard about money is there isn't enough of it. So don't bother us asking because the answer is always going to be no.
No.
Yeah. So there wasn't any discussion about money. So yeah, when I went out into the quote unquote real world, I didn't have any money management skills. And what's funny is I was an econ major. So you think I would have learned a thing or two. I learned about inflation and, stuff like that, the recession. But yeah, I didn't learn anything about personal finance. So yeah, it's not taught to us in school. And then if you're the children of immigrants like I am, it likely wasn't taught to you at home either, because my parents were just barely scraping by trying to survive in a new country.
Yeah. I just put myself in your parents' position. I remember the first time I left the United States and it was play money in my hand, right? I'm like, how many of these does it take to buy a candy bar? I have no idea. So your parents are dealing with a whole new economic system, trying to fit in, trying to get jobs.
New language.
And the language barrier, barrier after barrier after barrier, teaching money basics is thing number 9. It'd be like if I went to Ecuador right now, I would have no flipping idea how to teach my kids anything about money.
Yeah, that's exactly what the position they were in. The goal for them was just let's keep the lights on and make sure that the rent is paid. That was winning to my immigrant parents.
And you talk about culturally how things are different for your community than it is for, average middle-aged white guy community. One, I like this one. One thing you read in all the books, don't lend money to family and friends.
You're not a bank.
That doesn't fly in your community.
Absolutely not. Those are fighting words in my community. Yeah, no, that's the first time I tried that. Oh no, I got the backlash right away.
Yeah. You would, I bet people just thought you were an asshole when you're like, nope.
They still do. Because now I've learned to implement my own financial boundaries. I give money when I want to and when I can. And I'm still very much the black sheep in my family for doing that. But I'm probably the most financially successful one too. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but it's funny how in some levels, Gigi, our upbringing is so different. But I grew up in redneck West Michigan, and it was in some ways the same. Oh, you think you're better than us, don't you? You think you're better than us.
Yeah.
Well, no, not really. I do think maybe we should stop putting money in stupid places, but
yeah, no, I definitely have gotten that from my grandpa, and that was really hurtful where he says, you think you're
grandpa.
Better. Yeah. And he's lived such a different life than the life he was born in 1931, so he lives such a different life than the life I've lived. So I understand why he has those views. He never got the opportunity to go to college, he had to work. So yeah, there's definitely some things. And there's the machista culture too that's very prevalent in our community. Yeah. So
what I love about this though, is that what you say, a lot of the stuff that you read, the popular press, there's no middle ground. And you're like, I gotta be financially solvent. But at the same time, I got to realize that my cousin's quinceañera is a big deal.
Right.
And I'm expected to put some money toward that.
No, absolutely. And that's what was missing in the traditional personal finance books that I had read. I read over 50 personal finance books, and I had never seen one that addressed how to navigate money with your family. Because me, as a Latina, as a daughter of Mexican immigrants, my money experience is very much always going to be tied to my family, always. Whether that means I provide a monthly allowance for somebody that needs support every month, or if I'm the first person they come to when there's a financial emergency and somebody needs surgery, or if somebody has bad credit and they want to buy a house and they want me to co-sign for them, I'm always being tapped into that because I'm the one who's quote unquote made it because I'm the one that went to college. That's how they see it, at least.
For your culture, it very much is a knitted community whole.
Yeah, it's a sense of pride to be able to tap into community when you have any sort of financial hardship. Money is not viewed like it's just yours. Money is communal. It's for all of us. So that's why they are expected for you to open up your wallet if they need money for this or that. And I in the beginning just gave money because that's what I was conditioned to do, to always say yes, because that's what you do for family. But then I quickly started learning that I was digging myself in a hole. And then when I had my own financial emergencies, nobody was there to bail me out because they were all broke, right? So who's going to bail me out? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I have to first work on building a solid foundation for myself where I feel okay. And if I have a financial emergency, I can back myself up. And then I can contribute to the ability that I can to any sort of financial support. And that's what I do now. I still regularly help, but it's very much on my terms now, not because somebody's twisting my arm and making me do it.
That's fabulous. You have what you call your first gen 5 pillars. Your first pillar is an emergency fund, then budgeting, debt, credit, investing. I would love, if you don't mind, because you mentor everybody every day, let's mentor our stackers on some of these, if you don't mind. You up for it?
Sure. Be happy for it. Yeah.
All right. I'm a Detroit guy, so I'm going to go forward into and talk about debt, but there's a specific type of debt where you and I also, our cultures align. Being a Detroit guy, it is all cars all the time. You talk about Latins in their cars. You literally have a headline that says Latins in their cars. For people that don't know about Latino culture and cars, tell me about this a minute.
My dad has 4 cars. It's just him. He is single and he has 4 cars as a status symbol so that his neighbors can see I'm the man on the block with 4 paid off cars. Because where we're from, or in a lot of our culture, that's how you show off your wealth or that you're doing well in life, by what kind of car or how many cars you have. And it's something that I learned very quickly through reading personal finance books. And no, you should actually not see a car as like this luxury that you need to have. You should have like just something that's safe, reliable, won't leave you on the side of the road in some random day, right? And drive that baby till the wheels fall off, you know? So when I implemented that advice from these books, it was great for my finances, but it wasn't great for my relationship with my family because I was bullied for years. I was bullied because why are you driving this crusty Corolla? You can afford a new one. You paid it off, years ago. Why? Yeah, every time I saw my family, they would not shut up about how I was so cheap because I wouldn't get a well-functioning Toyota Corolla that had no problems, And I think I shared an anecdote too about how I was very proud when I finally paid off the car note, 5 years after the making car payments. And the first question my uncle asked me, oh, so what's next? Where are you going to get next? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you paid it off. So what's your new car now that you paid this one off? Exactly. That's very much how it's viewed. Yeah, you pay off a car and now it's time for a new one instead of, again, driving that thing until the wheels fall off. It's a very different mindset. And even my grandma, too, last time I saw her, she was mentioning how her neighbor, their granddaughter's doing very well. And she's like, yeah, she pulled up in a brand new car. They always mention the car. It always goes back to the car. So that's why it was very important for me to include that in the book.
Well, but okay, where do I meet this culturally halfway? How do I not get into a bunch of car debt and still have something where I fit in?
Well, I did try to educate my family on, actually, this is why I'm still driving this 7-year-old car, because of the extra money that I have now for not having a car payment. I'm using it for savings, or I'm using it to pay off debt, or I'm using it for investing. You'd think that'd be enough of an explanation. It's not. They would still bully me and again say you're being cheap. You have a nice office job. Why can you treat yourself to something better? So that route didn't work. So what I had to learn was just to put up with the bullying and just zone out. And what's that advice? I hate that advice, but internally I'm like, don't take advice from broke people. Right? Because just like, they don't know what they're doing with their money. They're going to judge me because I'm moving differently. But you know what? When something happens, again, I'm the first person they come to, So yeah, I just had to learn to tune it out and be like, yeah, sure. I mean, are you going to buy me a new car? I'd be like, you're going to buy me a new car? No. Okay, then shut up, Well,
but the general advice that I like is, hey, listen, I'm not going to teach you that the Toyota Corolla is great.
Yeah.
But what I can do is tell my family, please avoid card debt. Like that,
Yeah.
what are you going to buy now? What are you going to buy
Yeah.
next could be part of the problem. Let's move on ahead. The Latina pay gap, which I knew was horrible, but you point out that 54 cents for every $1 a white non-Hispanic man makes. Holy cow.
Yeah.
You put nobody wants to work until they die. A lot of people, though, you say culturally, don't think of investing. Like, don't think investing is for rich people to do. But this, you talk about the pay gap, 54 cents to every dollar. We have to invest.
You have to. Yeah, that's I list that as one of the reasons why as a Latina, you cannot afford to not invest because of the pay gap that exists. So yeah, a lot of that is unlearning that fear or overcoming that fear about the stock market is risky and explaining what the stock market really is so people feel more comfortable putting their money there. We also are the second longest living demographic. I believe Asian women live longer than Latinas. So that means we need more money, right? Because we're living longer. So yeah, it's very important for Latinas, especially Latinas to invest.
So a lot of people in our stacker community just starting out, very worried about investing. What's your first move, Gigi?
Yeah. So my first move was the advice somebody gave me on my first job, which I am so thankful for. I was a 22-year-old baby. I was working at Progressive Insurance, had no idea what I was doing. And one of my coworkers, was open enrollment. And she's like, you signed up for the 401k, right? I said, no. I'm like, isn't that for retirement? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm 22. Like that, I'll worry about that when I'm older. And she's like, no. She says, you have to do it now. Cause she says, right now is when it'll make the most difference while you're young. And she says, and our employer offers a company match, which I had no idea what that was. She had to explain it to me. So thank God her name is Andrea. Thanks, Andrea, for pulling me to the side and really seeing that I was a lost 22-year-old in this corporate space. And, my parents never had jobs that offered them any sort of workplace benefits like that. So again, how would I have known about 401ks or anything like that? And I always am a big advocate of my community getting started investing there because through a workplace retirement fund, because it takes the least effort. Opening a Roth IRA, it can still be a little scary, right? Making sure you're clicking on the right buttons on the website, where with your employer, you just simply opt in and they'll take care of, withdrawing the money from your paycheck every time. So it's just so much easier.
I like where you start there, though, too, with the Roth IRA. I mean, number one, just open the investment account. I feel like for most people, the people that I've helped, man, once we've so much fear, but when you actually put your fingers on the keyboard and you open up that account, like the fear melts. You're like, oh, this was easier than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. It's 3 simple steps, right? Open an account you can invest in because you can't invest in the stock market from your checking account or your savings account. So you need an investment account. And then you need to add money to that account because it's not going to grow unless you add money. And then the third step, which is the one where people get a little bit more intimidated, is where you have to pick your investments, right? But there's good investment options for people that aren't as, investment savvy, like target date funds or, index funds and all that fun stuff.
You dive into that, but you also dive into some investments that you wouldn't start with. A lot of people, of course, look at this crypto thing and think maybe that's it. You warn them against maybe starting off there.
Yeah, the crypto bros is what I call them. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, my community has asked me a lot over the years to make content on crypto. And I say I'm not, because I know who I'm trying to serve. I'm trying to serve, again, the first person in their family to graduate from college, to be in corporate spaces, to be making more money than their parents ever did. And the last thing that this person needs to be doing is investing in crypto, because they can't afford to experience the volatility of crypto. So that's why I say you're much better off investing your money in regulated assets, traditional assets like stocks and bonds, mutual funds, all that stuff. So yeah, they've asked me and they have definitely piped down since the collapse of FTX. See how that all went down. I don't get those requests as much, which I'm thankful for, but I'm sure it's going to come back. It's cyclical, right?
Sure.